This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, Beau Cook from Loan Market, BTZD, the official apparel partner of the Paracave Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another cracking episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and this is the interview-based style podcast that comes out every Thursday with a celebrity fan or a ex-player or hopefully a current player of a team. But today we are going back to, well, this person is involved in rugby league in sort of a different way, you could say. He is a massive Canberra Raiders fan, so I guess you could say it is a little bit towards the fan-based series that I do here and there, but he is a massive Canberra Raiders fan, but he is also has a musical called Rugby League, the musical, which comes out each year, and it's basically a review of the Rugby League season, so I can't wait to see this year's one, with details coming back in the podcast chat with this person, with my guest. And anyway, Rugby League the musical, where it is a review of the Rugby League season, but also he is also famous for one of the most catchy tunes that is always played around State of Origin time, and we all know it. It is a Queensland song. It is That's in Queensland. So when you hear that name of that song, you'll probably know that I'm talking about Mr. Denis Carnahan. Now, as I said, he is a Canberra Raiders fan, singer, songwriter, and he has penned one of the greatest songs, That's in Queensland. You know, even though I'm a New South Wales supporter, that's okay. It's still a catchy tune. It does get stuck in your head, but it gets played out every State of Origin season. And during the chat, we talk about his support for the Canberra Raiders, favourite players, moments, how he got involved with rugby league, his singing, his songwriting, his musical that he does, and also how That's in Queensland, that song actually came about. And it's a really interesting story, that one, and when you hear it, you won't believe how it actually came about. So a great story there. Now, this wouldn't be at all possible without the help of the sponsors of the show. Major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Beau Cook from Loan Market, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Teamwear, the official apparel sponsor of the Paracave Podcast, and also the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast. More details about the sponsors and the Paracave Podcast merchandise after the interview with Denis. So that's enough of me talking. You just want to hear Denis and his rugby league supporting story. I guess you could say there's some great stories in there, a few laughs as well. So anyway, enough of me talking. And as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And let's get straight into it.
Hello, this is Denis Carnahan from Rugby League the Musical. I'm about to have a chat with Troy from the Paracave Podcast. Bit nervous.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Paracave Podcast, well, he's a Canberra Raiders fan, massive Canberra Raiders fan, and he's also pretty famous for some of the satire comedy songs that he has written from over the years, a couple of Parramatta songs, and probably the most notable one is probably this is that's in Queensland, the Origin one, which is I think now 10 years old, so time has flown. But he's a multi-award winning and talented musician, also a contributor to the Para Cave podcast behind me there. You can see just up in the top there, near this one, the Nathan Highmarsh.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, contributed to the Para Cave podcast. The Nathan Highmarsh poster as well. Welcome to the Para Cave podcast, Mr. Denis Carnahan.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Now, as I said, you're a massive Canberra Raiders fan, so I'm assuming what was growing up like for yourself? Is that where you grew up, down in the Canberra region? And
yeah, born and raised in Canberra, and that's where the fanship comes from. I was originally a Manly fan.
Oh, okay.
I was assigned that by my big brothers in 1973. I was a little brother, and they were going to watch the grand final, and they were all going for the Sharks. So I thought that meant Manly were the underdogs, and Manly won. So I was like, hoo-hoo. But none of them were Sharks fans. They were either Dragons or Rabbits, which kind of says their age, that the older two were Dragons fans, because when they were, real little, the Dragons were winning everything, and then the next youngest one, to me, his when he was little, it was the Souths winning things, and then I got given Manly. But I kind of kept being a Manly fan when the Raiders joined. But just once you get to Seaford Oval and see there's people playing, there's a guy I went to school with is playing half. He was older than me, but there's no, I think there's this thing, like, that was my team. They were my hometown team. So I stuck with them.
Did you find Rugby League, or did Rugby League find you growing up?
I think it was actually Canberra's. It's a multicultural city, so there's, when I was a kid, Saturday was AFL, Sunday was League. Well, it was VFL. That was what was on the tally. Locally, I played a couple of years of soccer. I played a couple of years of union. Terrible at them. Played AFL and League at school. Had a go at League. I wasn't good with the contact at all. I was terrible at it. Plus, the ability to catch, run, pass, tackle, they all passed me by.
Everything that you need to do to be a rugby league player.
Well, just the basics were missing. So I worked out I was much better as a fan. But it was once the Raiders came in, they came in at a time when Canberra was hitting critical mass as a town, because it's always been seen of as a blow-in town, because it's all, public servants, and everyone says it's politicians, but there's like, I don't know if there's no politicians in Canberra. They're all in their electorates, and they occasionally come to Canberra to do politics, to sit in Parliament. But most of them spend their time in their electorates. So there is a lot of public servants, but they have an average of 2 to 3 years in Canberra. So that's kind of how it was from the, 30s, 40s, 50s onwards until, Menzies moved Parliament there and public service there. That was in the 50s. But late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, there was kind of a critical mass of locals, of people who actually had local businesses, small businesses, shops, cafes, a lot of it serving public servants and that sort of thing. But, building industry, and people who started living there for a long time. My dad was a uni lecturer, and so he was there in 1958, and he stayed there. So a lot of those sort of people. And so it's like the population was like 140,000.
Yep.
But it had enough to feel like a country town. Like there were people who were locals who were born and raised there, which hadn't happened before.
Okay.
And that coincided with the Raiders getting onto the big stage in 87. And so the whole town suddenly, rather than being a bunch of blow-ins and public servants and people from Melbourne, it was like, we got something. We're a town. We have an identity. Sure, we lost to Manly, but, we had something. Then when it won in 89, I'd left Canberra. So suddenly that was my conduit. That was my home. That was my connection to home, was watching the Raiders. I've been stuck with it ever since.
So you said that you sort of still followed Manly when Canberra came into the competition. Where were you in 87? What side of the fence were you on?
100% Raiders.
Yeah.
100% Raiders by that stage. Gone, hated Manly, was with the rest of the world. Including Manly. Hating Manly. So,
true.
that was... I've still got a little tiny bit of sympathy because my son goes for them.
Okay.
and it's my closest local ground. So, but
Yeah.
when they have controversies like Rainbow Pride jerseys, and when they implode and then sack Jeff Tuvey as coach, like, they still, wow.
Yeah. Nah.
They do things different over there.
There's that famous banner, I think, that you see on the hill sometimes. Everyone, we hate you too as well.
Guess what? Manly hates you too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The funny thing is that's directed at Manly fans.
Yeah.
Because Manly fans hate Manly.
Yeah. So, who were some of your favourite players? Obviously, in those early days of the Raiders. I mean, there were some champion players back in the day.
A lot of them, like Ashley Gilbert, was always a huge favourite.
Yeah.
And he still is, even though he's not playing anymore, because he goes to all the games. So he goes to the home games. He leaves Crookwell. He drives from his sheep farm in Crookwell to Bruce Stadium, gets there for when there was 23s, when there's under 20s, whatever.
Yeah.
He gets there early. He doesn't come with the big badge. I played in the 87 grand final. I was a Raiders legend. He just turns up in his farm shirt and his jeans.
Nice.
Doesn't have a pass, just pays his ticket, pays his. I don't know if he pays his membership. He may well, but he like I've seen him behind the scenes and in the dressing rooms and stuff. But mainly he sits out on the concourse having beers with his mates from his farm.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
So yeah, Ashley Gilbert remains one of my favourites. But then, Chrissy O'Sullivan's the one who I went to school with him.
Okay.
And I was in class with his little sister. So he was a hero of mine growing up, even before the Raiders came in. He played in my local union team and my local league team as a junior. And he was a gun. Matty Corkery was a big favourite. And Craig
on the wing
Corkery and also Craig Bellamy.
Okay. Yeah.
There was just something about those awkward country kids that was really appealing. I guess Bellamy wasn't, full local. He was from Oberon, but that was all we saw. So and Matty Corkery being a genuine Queanbeyan boy, loved that. So yeah, those are some of my early favourites.
Yeah, no, I mean it's good there that you mentioned some of the, I guess you could call lesser known players, although people would know their names. Obviously, Raiders fans would know their names, but
everyone knows Bellamy, but
but Ashley Gilbert, probably not everyone would know.
Yeah.
Chris O'Sullivan, people would know him kicking the field goal in the grand final.
Yeah. Beautiful moment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was just such a champion team, those early, late 80s, early 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we had the Queenslanders come and join us in 85, 86 and that was a really funny moment when Mel signed. That was a huge turning point because there was all this scuttlebutt around Sydney, particularly from Phil Gould and various others saying that, they can make it in Origin, but how are they going to go week in, week out of the grind of a, 20-week premiership, whatever. And so there was no belief. There was a belief that Mel Meninga, Gary Belcher, Peter Jackson, Gary Coyne, Steve Boxhead Walters, that they'd, once the time wore on, they just wouldn't be up to it. And how wrong they were. They certainly were up to it.
That's it. So, obviously, making the grand final in 87, massive achievement. But we fast forward to 89. What was that feeling like when you actually got that premiership win, the first ever in the club's history?
That was funny. So I went to 87. Mum bought us tickets to 87. And we flew up on Ansett and then got a bus from the airport. And we went with my brother and a mate, and she bought us Woodges jerseys, and the jersey still fits. I'm pretty happy with that.
Nice.
And we we were drinking. We just got on the cans. We on the flight up, and then on the bus there was beers on the bus. And we went to some big place in Chinatown, a big food barn for lunch, and then more beers there. Got to the ground, beers, watched reserve grade beers, and by the time the grand final happened, we were just.
Yeah.
We kind of didn't care. Then we got on the plane home. The plane up was a chartered plane. The plane home was just a public plane. And so me and about 10 others on there, we just started getting pieces of paper asked the hostess for pieces of paper and coloured pencils. We're writing out the words to the green machine.
Okay.
And just handed it out all through the plane. We made like 150 copies. And then just started singing, bad and really, we got the whole plane
Wow.
going.
Amazing.
So, yeah, we kind of didn't care that we'd lost that one. Whereas 89, I'd actually moved out of Canberra and was at uni in Lismore and was living on campus. And it was a wonderful moment. There was, during State of Origin, because Lismore's close to the border,
Yeah.
a heap of Queenslanders go, like half of the students were from Queensland.
Okay.
And so State of Origin on campus, I was living in this like block of flats and, there's 150 people there. And generally all 150 plus a mate each would converge on one flat. And so
Okay,
there's just
yeah.
like
Cram
300
in,
people
like,
out in this yard. And anyone scores a try, it's just on. And there were like... There was blood, there was bruising, there was a couple of broken windows and people rolling into them. But it was all good natured, but there were punches thrown when New South Wales scored, the Queenslanders would jump on and pile on it. So it was mayhem. But at the end of it, I was saying, it doesn't matter that Queensland's won. This doesn't matter. What matters is the premiership, and that's what the Raiders are going to win. And State of Origin is just toy town, and this means nothing. And so I was watching the grand final with a bunch of these Queenslanders who are my mates, and Mel Meninga and I was devastated when Ciro scored that try before half time. It's like, we've been dominant, and they're ahead on the scoreboard. This is, which is now the Raiders' way: dominate, get ahead on the scoreboard, then the other team comes back, and then they beat you.
Okay, yeah.
For the last quarter of a century. So I was pretty despondent. And then the second half, the way that all unfolded and the way the drama of it and the reversed penalty, the penalty going the wrong way against Bruce Maguire, and like it was, and then the try by Chica, the basketball pass from Laurie Daly, it was just so much drama. And then Mel Meninga at the very end goes, this is what it's all about. This beats Origin. This beats playing for Australia. This is what it's all about, winning the premiership with these blokes you work with all year. And the Queenslanders are all going, shit.
Yeah.
But
And you're
our
there
captain.
saying, I told you that.
I told you. So, yeah, that was great. And plus the uni tipping contest. I was in a tipping contest. It was like 800 or 900 people in it, and you pay $1 to enter. $1 back in those days worth something.
Yeah.
And the first prize was $500. Second prize was $200. Last prize, if you came last, you got 100.
Okay.
And about 10 weeks out, I was, middle of the pack, doing pretty bad. And then for the rest of the seasons after Origin, I started tipping who the Raiders, plus who the Raiders needed to lose for them to climb up the ladder.
Okay.
And I got like, in the last 8 weeks, I reckon 6 times. So I got 8 out of 8. Oh, it was 8? However many there were. Yeah, I think it was 8 out of 8. So I just kept blitzing it. So I went from middle of the pack, bang, won the competition.
Yeah, wow. Smart strategy.
It was a great timing for it. But then being a uni student and had a couple of beers, bugger it, put the whole lot on the bar at the Tats. Yeah, had a great night.
Yeah, that's it. And then they back up in 1990 and win the comp again against Penrith. And then lose to Penrith the year after. How did that go after winning 2 in a row, going for that three-peat?
It's pretty hard to be disappointed, like when you've won 2 in a row. And also with Penrith, by the time that game happened, I was playing in a band. We were touring around, and I actually watched that at the entrance at the nightclub we were playing at. And we were setting up, and I was sitting watching it, and I was pretty disappointed until Royce Simmons scored that try and made that 10-meter dash look like it was 100 meters and 1,000 steps of Royce going. And it's like, how can someone not tackle him when they kept coming and coming, just couldn't get there. And the height he jumped, he's leapt to his feet, and I just thought, you know what, you just got to love Royce. And so it's hard. I didn't get that disappointed. Like it was, sure, we've had 2. It would have been nice to get the three-peat to equal the Eels.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't to be, and it's really hard to dislike the team that had, Royce Simmons, Greg Alexander, Brad Fittler, Mark Geyer. It was really hard to dislike them. So, yeah, didn't mind it.
Yeah, no, I must admit, in the late 80s, early 90s, Parramatta played from March to September, and they didn't play finals football. And Canberra was my second team in those days.
There you go.
And I don't know how or why, but I actually, because I live in Penrith, so I just don't like Penrith, the Panthers. So I don't know why or how, but I ended up buying a Canberra Raiders flag and running it up one of the main streets of Penrith. I think it was after the game. I think it might have been 1990, it might have even been 91 anyway as well. But yeah, good time, funny time being a kid.
Yeah,
just trying to razz up the crowd in Penrith. But yeah, no, they certainly were champion teams back then. And which of the premiership teams do you think is the best premiership team? Because a lot of people say that the 94 team is probably one of the best to win a competition. Unfortunately, we didn't see them play the Brisbane Broncos in a grand final at that time, because that would have been everyone's major best game that would have happened. But that 94 team, how does that rank compared to the other ones?
Oh, just on paper and numbers, you'd have to say they were just fantastic. It was mostly internationals, and yeah, they were nuts. I think that the team the year before, it's a shame that Stewart broke his leg, because that's I think that team was probably better. That team, like that, you just look at through the season, for and against, wins and losses, they were way ahead of everyone.
When you beat us 68-0, I think.
Yeah, and that was like the last tackle of the day. Ricky Stewart breaks his leg, and that was the last game of the season, or maybe the second last game of the season. But then they didn't win another game. So you've got basically the best of the Australian, New Zealand teams, and without that centerpiece, without the general, they couldn't win. And that was, I've heard so many stories from the other players going, how Ricky's not that good.
Yeah,
we're still all internationals. We still should be able to, catch the ball and tackle and score tries. Why can't we? But yeah, Rick was that influential. So yeah, I think on paper, I'd say the 94 team was probably would have been the best team, but the 89 was the most exciting because it was so unknown. Okay. The 94 team was well known. They were all a well-known quantity by that stage. Whereas 89, Benny's field goal goes over instead of hitting the crossbar, and Balmain win. Would those players have gone on? Like, did those players win because they were awesome, or did that win give them confidence to keep going? Because there's so much luck involved in that 89 game. That was not a dominant display. That game was alive probably until midway through extra time.
Yeah. But
the whole way through it, anyone could have won that. And it was that close. And the teams were so different stylistically. But they were, there's so many, there's got to be books written and films made about it, the amount of drama that went into that. And, Laurie, again, Ricky not left his boots in Canberra.
That's right, yeah.
And borrowed David Campese's boots because he knew they had the same size foot. So just grand final day, Sunday morning, Campo, it's Rick. Can you bring your boots to the footy stadium? And the Mick Neal ankle tap on, or the Mel Meninga ankle tap on Mick Neal, like that. Yeah, there was so much unknown about the Raiders, but by 94 it was known. So that, they were awesome. Didn't have quite the excitement of the unknown and seeing what unfolded.
Now, I know
having said that, that opening minute, Marty Bellin knocking on the kickoff, and then Paul Osborne inventing the offload.
With number 46 on his back, I think it was.
Hang on a second.
Oh. It's a fancy collection there. Look out.
I don't own this. This isn't mine. This actually belongs to...
Oh. There we go. Look at that piece.
It's the actual one.
Yeah,
and I've got to get it back to him. I was supposed to be meeting up with him to get it back to him because It's the heirloom for his kids. What I love about this is the
wow.
actual jersey he invented the offload in.
Yeah.
And you look at it and go, he hasn't had that under a frame. He's been out cooking barbecues going, did I tell you about the time I invented the offload in 94?
I wonder if Steve Jackson does that in his 89 jumper.
Oh, I reckon he does for sure. So he goes on the ABC as a guest frequently. And as a joke, like they call him the mayor of Mackay because he's a big man about town. And he's actually running for mayor. He's genuinely now running for mayor.
And no doubt he'll get in too. He's very popular. Very popular bloke.
So.
I've had him on the podcast a few months ago, and it was a great chat with Jacko. I lost my train of thought there. What about some favourite Canberra moments? It doesn't have to be obviously the grand finals, but like some favourite Canberra moments that stand out for you from over the years?
Oh, the biggest one was 2019, the game against the Storm in Melbourne. It was August. It was mid-August, and I was on the road. I was doing a tour with Rugby League, the musical. I was playing in Coffs Harbour. So I'm there setting up, and I've got my laptop out, and I'm watching the first half as I'm doing sound check, as I'm setting things up. And the Storm and Whiten gets sent to the sin bin, and the Storm score. And then Tarpanay gets sent to the sin bin, and then the Storm score, and then the Storm score again from this stupid intercept. A ball bounced, and it was picked from, I think it was Kotrick's hands. Like, he just grabs the ball, and suddenly it's gone. And 18-0, and it just looked devastating. It looked horrible. And I was thinking, God, if they can just get a try before half-time, and then Toots goes over, scores this try where he's got the ball kind of jammed between his head and his forearm, and he hasn't got his hands on it, but he got downward pressure with his head and his forearm. And I still remember the, what's the Brisbane coach? Walters? Kevy was commentating. And Kevy's commentary, he was nuts with his commentary. He got so excited. And the bunker goes, he has the ball pinned to his arm and he gets downward pressure. And Kevy's like, see, he had it pinned, Mossy. He had the ball pinned. And he was over the top. And it's like, oh, okay, they've got to try. Then finished the sound check, went back to the hotel, got some takeaway dinner. I'm sitting there watching it on Fox, just watching it go. And I just lost it when they won that game. And this is against the full strength. I guess they didn't have Cooper Cronk, but it was a Cam Smith led team, and I think that was the best win the club had against Melbourne. Such a powerhouse for that entire decade or 2 decades in Melbourne, where the Raiders had a really bad record. That was just amazing.
How did your show go after that?
Oh, best show I'd ever done. Yeah. I was in such a good mood. All sorts of gags were being cracked. The Raiders song got played in full. Just kind of snuck in there somehow.
Yeah.
I was in such a good, huge, really good mood.
Don't blame me for that one. Well, you mentioned there Rugby League, the musical, and how did that all come about? Did you think you just need to do something like that? And you're a pretty good comedy writer for songs.
Oh, it was actually all accidental. So I used to, back in 86, 87, I used to busk in Canberra. And this is, I don't know if you remember the Doug Anthony All-Stars. They were a comedy group, and they used to busking. How they started was busking in Canberra. And they used to get a big crowd, and you see people busking and they're sort of playing Bob Dylan songs and whatever. And I thought I wanted to do something a bit extra. So I didn't have the people to bounce off because on my own. So I put on little costumes. So I do a George Michael song. I had a leather jacket. Yeah. I'd do a Who song. I'd put on a fake nose. I had a cardboard box that I made out as an amp, and then I'd smash it with my guitar afterwards. Did the Raiders theme song.
Okay, yeah.
With pull the Raiders jersey on, and I know I changed the words to some songs. I have no recollection of what they were, but I just used to put on a bit of a show, and it was the changing words and the costumes was just kind of the fun thing. I used to get bored public servants at lunchtime. I'd play for an hour, and people would come down. You get a couple of hundred people around, And 1987, getting $100 in coins, you go to the bank and they count the coins out and you get $100. Like that was pretty good money for an hour's work. And I was doing that a couple of times a week, and then getting on Friday night they'd have a public service happy hour at the Department of Finance or whatever, or some little group, and so they'd say, "Oh, can you come and play at our party?" Like, yeah, sure. There's another $50, and they'd pass a hat around. There's another $50, and as a student that I was at the time, that was great coin. I then spent years playing in bands, being a serious musician, trying to be a pop star, and ended up through a long, writing music for TV shows, music for films, and that was supposed to be my career path. That was where it was going. And then, some shit happened. There was some industry changes, and that didn't work out. But I took a year off, and then I took a year off because I got sacked. I was working on the Footy Show.
Okay.
I was music director on the Footy Show, and I had all these ideas I kept throwing at them, and they were like, a bit too cerebral for our audience, and that always pissed me off. But then we got boned. I was the music director, and we had a little band, and I think we were just too expensive, and we got boned. And I got a royalty check the day after I got boned from that. I was really disappointed. We'd been on for like 3 or 4 weeks. I got a royalty check I did the music for Australia's Next Top Model for like 5 or 6 years, and got this royalty check it was a combination of Canada, South Africa, England, US, and this royalty check was like twice what the Footy Show was going to pay me for the whole year.
Yeah, wow.
And I just went, I'm taking time off. I had some bad personal things happen. I'm just taking time out to heal and work out what I want to do. And just for fun, I started writing songs, because I'd written some stuff for the Footy Show. I'd written some stuff for Reg Reagan. Video Killed the Rugby League Star was his big one. But did the original That's Gold recording with the Chief. So I did a theme song for the Footy Show in 2006, and that was kind of what started me in rugby league music. And that was an earnest song about being a footy fan. And they used that as their theme, and then the NRL used as their theme for the semi-final. So I was playing this song live at 4 or 5, 6 semi-finals, which was great fun. So in 2009, big fan of the Monday Night Footy Show on Fox. That was not iron my son's school shirts and do all the laundry and watch the footy. Yeah. And I started sending in songs to them, because I did some work at Fox doing audio. And the first one was a song for the Gary Freeman show. He kept, on the Monday night show, he'd just sit there and wind up Gordon Tallis and say, seriously, you Gordy, you're a fool. When I get my show, you're going to be sacked. And he's like, you're never getting your show. He says, yeah, I am. So I did a show theme for the Gary Freeman show. Yeah. And they knew nothing about it, but the producers put it on. And Gordon Tallis was like, no, that's not happening. What's going on? And Wayne Pearce is going, no, you did that. No, you're not talented enough. No, someone else has done that for you. And the Gary Freeman's just going, see, this is what I'm talking about. The Wizard has fans. So that, from that, I did a couple of other songs. Did the Wayne Junior Pearce song. Did a Gordon Tallis song. From that, I don't know. Just kept doing bits and pieces. Got on the Matty Johns show when it was on Channel 7. I was doing a song for them for the finals. That was in 2010. And just kept doing stuff. And then I finally ended up with That's in Queensland. There was a community radio show called Fire Up, which is still going as a podcast.
Yeah.
For like 20 years.
I listened to yourself on that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, well, there you go.
They're good guys, those ones.
Oh, they are. They're great. But their whole attitude towards it, that, it's a thing for me, being a musician, having a long career as a musician, just the combination between music and rugby league, it doesn't happen. There's so few people in the arts or music scene who are into rugby league.
That's it.
Whereas in Melbourne, there's heaps. You got Paul Kelly and there's people are writing songs about footy, and that's okay. And if you go on Google and look up Australian sports songs, there's hundreds of AFL songs, 2 for league, 2 for a few for cricket, but there's more for horse racing than there is for rugby league.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's definitely a market there, then, isn't there?
I think that. Yeah, I think the market needs to be. I do think that Google page is out, because I think there's more like the day that Johnny Sattler broke his jaw. That's a great song. So there are definitely songs out there, but They're not as much as AFL, and that pisses me off. But so I just started doing. The Fire Up boys had a State of Origin They couldn't broadcast it, obviously, but all the Fire Up listeners all went to the FBI radio, the community station. They had a tie-in with the place in King's Cross, the King's Cross Hotel. So they just got out the third floor, put the big screen up, and all the Fire Up people came in and listened. And they got me to do a halftime song. And that was this is the year that Ricky Stewart said, if we beat this team once, I'll be happy because it's such a good Queensland team. Yeah. So I did the old Meatloaf song, 1 out of 3 is bad, the Ricky Stewart song. The following year they had the same thing, but I was going to be I was producing a band that was going to be playing at a club in Mexico of all places. So I'm over in Mexico and they couldn't do the function. But I had the idea because Greg Inglis clearly wasn't a Queenslander, and then there was a couple of articles I saw where all these people who weren't from Queensland who played there, and someone did Anthony Sharwood, I think it was, did an article where he did the math. If all of Greg Inglis's tries were taken from Queensland and put to New South Wales, Queensland hadn't won a series in 5 years, but they'd won all of them.
Yeah, wow.
And I just had this vision of I was going to get a video and walk up to people and say, so to the Queensland team, where are you from? So you're from, and get him to say, yeah, I'm from Bowraville. Yeah, it's in Queensland. I'm from, and I just couldn't work out how to do it. And then they wanted me to do a song for the halftime thing, and I just had this stupid melody in my head, and I'd had it for about a year and a half, and I'll just do it. And then I recorded it. A mate of mine who's big into music theatre, he was the chorus singing That's in Queensland along with me, and he gave that really over the top exuberance to it. And I listened to it and it cracked me up, but I just thought, this is a peculiar piece of music. It's vaudeville, or it's not really a rugby league kind of sound.
Yeah.
So I didn't think much of it. So I've made the video, sent it to them. I literally was uploading the video while I was waiting for waiting to board. Going, come on. Finally got uploaded. Then went to Mexico, heard nothing of it. Flying back while the game's on, trying to say to the hostess, can you get the pilot to see what the score is in State of Origin? What's that? It's a football game. It's like, it's kind of like Super Bowl where it has meaning.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no. And I said, no, I really mean it. Can you please get a score?
Do it.
So anyway, land in Sydney, turn my phone on, and if I may quote Ricky Stewart, there was 150 texters on my phone. I had my phone blew up. And when you see 150, you're going, what's happening? And they're all like, man, that song was awesome. Where is it? Where can I find it? That song was awesome. Can you play it again? And so I called the guys from Fire Up and said, what the hell happened? And they said, we got to half time. You put your video on. And people were just roaring, going, play it again. So they put it on again. They missed the first 5 minutes of the second half because they just kept playing the video over and over again. So I put it on YouTube. I edited it, put a little rugby league musical thing on there because I'd had that idea. I love that name. Yeah. That it's such a stupid name. There's nothing musical about rugby league that you just can't do it. And so I put that on and put the clip up. And then shared it to the Fire Up group. And then suddenly, bang, I was sitting there looking at YouTube, just refresh, 10,000 views, refresh, 15,000 views, refresh. It was just going absolutely nuts. So my idea that song, wasn't really rugby league, well, I was wrong. It was great fun.
Oh, for sure. I mean, every State of Origin time it gets played and gets stuck in my head too. Being a New South Welshman as well.
And from that song, I started playing at corporate functions. I had actually played a Rugby League the musical show at Asquith Leagues Club before that song was done, like the year before, where I'd done enough with Fox Sports and had enough other songs to put a show together, and I did it with a live band. And had the video clips playing, but the real way that Rugby League the musical came out was I played at a referee's function. It was Dutchy the Touchy, what's his name? Holland. Oh, no. I see him at the games. I hope he doesn't listen to this. I've forgotten his real name. He's Dutchy the Touchy. But I was playing at a presentation where he was being awarded as the most capped touch judge ever, the most flags. And was told a whole lot of secrets about him and also a whole lot of secrets about Shane Haynes, who had these songs about these guys. Yeah. And I'd written a song for it called The Referee's Victory Song. And this was just I figured all the clubs had one. The referees should have one. So I made this piss take victory song for the refs. And I loved Jared Maxwell's voice when he was in the video, when he was in the bunker. So all the refs used to call him Caps Lock because he's always talking in full voice. It's like Blackboard off Mr. Squiggle. Oh, yeah. But he's always loud. And his voice was just a lot of fun. So I said to the guy who was MC, how about instead of introducing Denis Carnahan to sing the referee's victory song, you introduce Jared Maxwell to sing the referee's victory song, and I'll come out with a big fake nose and fake teeth. And then I got loaned a referee's shirt, which I've still got, so I stole, and short, like a full kit, the black socks. And so they said, oh, ladies and gentlemen, now it's a special treat to sing the historic referee's victory song. Would you please welcome Jared Maxwell? So everyone's looking at him going, oh, what's going on? And he's there looking horrified because he's quite a proper gentleman.
Yeah, he's thinking, what's going on here? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know anything about it.
But then I walk out with the shorts up high, the shirt tucked, the pink and black shirt tucked in, and a whistling. Oh, how are you, fellas? Great to be here, and did the song, and at the end of it, did the rest of did a couple more songs. Todd Greenberg was there. He was did the Todd Carney song, which was pretty popular at the time, but it was pretty controversial doing it in front of Toddy Greenberg. Yeah, Toddy Greenberg was there, blank faced, but his wife was just wetting herself laughing at it. So yeah, that was a fun thing, but it gave me the idea of, because I had all these songs, I've been working these songs up, they're getting played on ABC, getting played on 2UE was playing some of them, and 2GB as well. So there was a 2UE. 2GB was playing, a Fox Sports would play a few and put film clips to them. So I had this body of work, and I was trying to work out how to present it as a live thing. And doing the Horse Maxwell impersonation gave me the clue. So that's what the show is. It's still, this year I'm doing the show in a few weeks, and it's all songs from this year. There's only 2 or 3 classic songs that I've done before, but all of them, it's like a season review. But each part is presented by, Jared Maxwell's still in the show. He presents the pantomime section. Then there's a slapstick is presented by Dan Ganane, dressed up as him. Wayne Junior Pierce does the heroes section, and there's various other people that do villains and controversy, and it's kind of silly, and the more you explain it, the more lame it sounds. But when it's actually performed, it's great fun. Some of the most fun has been like when Wayne Junior Pierce turned up, and there am I dressed as Wayne Junior Pierce, singing about Wayne Junior Pierce to Wayne Junior Pierce. Or I used to do Peter Beattie. He was part of the show, but since the Volandis has come in, I've ditched him from the show. I haven't got Peter Volandis in there yet. I probably need to.
Yeah.
But I did. I Peter Beattie came to the show, and there was I dressed up as Peter Beattie, being Peter Beattie, going out and shaking Peter Beattie's hand, and that was a lot of fun.
So just on that, with people coming to the show and you imitating them, has everyone taken it in good? What's the word? Good.
In good humour,
in good humour, or has anyone ever been upset? Disagreed with it.
Never had a bad response live. I know that's in Queensland. I reversioned it when Ben Teo joined the team, because he was Greg Inglis. It's touchy. Like, he played junior footy in New South Wales. He played for Hunter Sports High when he was 16, so technically he could say it. But he was actually in a position where, according to the laws at the time, because he was playing in Brisbane, and he was much more sold on by the people he was staying with, by the family he was staying with, and they were talking about Aboriginal culture, Aboriginal heritage, and it's more respected here, which I'd argue against, given that Laurie Daly was the coach at the time. But it was because of the rules, it was his choice. Whereas Ben Teo was a dead set ring-in who played for Samoa. He played for the junior Kiwis. He then played for Queensland. He then left and played rugby for England. So
yeah. What's going on there?
yeah, so that's which well and good, tremendous athlete, great football player. But I'd say the word mercenary, like, and I don't mean it meanly. Like he was a gun for hire. He played for the Rabbitohs. He won a premiership. Fantastic player. But to me, that's not what State of Origin's about. State of Origin shouldn't be the most professional players in the world. It should be Queenslanders who hate New South Wales, and New South Wales having the best players going, why do these people hate us? And why do they keep beating us? That's the Origin myth. So Ben Teo being in there. So I did a song about where specifically the first verse was about him.
Okay, yeah.
And it was played to him at a press conference, and he went nuts. And I'm so glad I was never there, and I'm terrified of one day bumping into him because, he was very unhappy, and Mel shut down the press conference. It's the only time the Queensland press have been locked out of State of Origin. Other than that, I do the songs presuming that I'm going to sing, I'm going to see the person, because I played a lot of functions where I'm singing a tribute song, a roast song for someone. Like I played the Eels presentation night. So that's what you'll find online, the Nathan Hindmarsh song and the Luke Burt song.
Yep.
And they were written specifically for their retirement years. And I remember playing it at that function, and I had the film clips next to me, and Tim Manor was sitting in the front row. And most of the people, the whole idea of having film clips is that if people don't follow every game of rugby league, people don't know what's going on, the film clip gives context to the gag, so they know what's going on. I find a lot of league nerds get really caught up in the detail of film clips because they're like, oh, I remember that game, that was round 23. And generally, it's actually the lesser league fans who find it funny because they're not getting caught up in the detail. They're kind of getting caught up in the music and the humour. But it means that people who are used to watching TV with an iPhone, you're looking at the TV, you've got your phone, you're playing a game, you're texting, you're watching the TV. They've got me singing as a performer, and then they've got the TV. So it's a modern, engaging thing. People sitting watching
like
back and forth.
Match.
Yeah, except for Tim Manor, who was sitting in the front row, arms folded, staring at me, just looking at me. And his face, I think he has resting angry face. And he's the most peaceful, lovely, happy guy.
Yeah.
I'd never met him before. And all I'm looking at is this enormous man who's looking pissed, staring at me, shit-canning his mates. And I'm going, oh, what's going to happen? And I was really put off by it. So I was sitting there, did the Bertie song, did the Hindy song. Everyone got up and clapped. I finished, got down. Luke Burt came up and shook my hand, gave me a hug. Hindy shook my hand, gave me a hug. And then I see Tim Manor walking towards me. And again, blank face.
Uh-oh.
And I have literally, I clenched my jaw and kind of stepped back because I thought I'm about to cop one. Yeah. And he's leaned in and he's giving me this hug and going, oh man, that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. That was because like you're mocking him, but it's so respectful. It was actually it was beautiful, like because you weren't laughing at me, you were laughing. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm alive.
Yeah.
So that was the closest I got. But yeah, other than that, like I said, I do it assuming I'm going to sing it to the person. So cheeky, but not disrespectful.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we all got to have a laugh these days. I mean, usually everything's too serious, isn't it? So you got to have a laugh. Yeah. And as you said, if it's respectful and that, then yeah, it's all good.
And the other thing I always focus on, like I've sung for years, it's been like my job for 30 years. I kind of think I really have to work on the singing, work on the song, not trying to like sing them as best as I can, sing them at the most elite level. Because if you're going to take the piss out of an elite sportsman, I think you got to be doing it really well to earn the right to do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm training hard, I'm rehearsing hard, I'm like to make sure that if I'm going to take the piss, I'm not going to drop the ball while I'm doing it. I'm going to actually do it okay. And at the moment, I'm nervous because in the shows I've got the Ryan Pappenhausen song coming up, and it's some of them are pretty demanding.
Yeah, okay.
And the Ryan Pappenhausen song is a bit demanding. So if I ever sing to him,
it's all
about his hair.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely that mullet. How good is it? Yeah,
look at it.
Yeah, That's it.
I've got it right here.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Although I think just seen him the last couple of weeks, I think it's gone a little bit shorter. I think.
I think it's for the comeback,
Yeah,
but I think
okay.
it's gonna
Take
keep
off.
going.
Take off.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he's got a good mullet. He's Bryce Cartwright from the Eels. He's got a good,
Hasn't he?
good mullet going on. So
It's a bit more old school though. It's not like the really long tail.
Yeah.
It's the fade.
that's it. Well, speaking of the Eels, is there any Eels flavoured songs in the show coming up?
There was last year.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
probably
this
because they were
year's-
doing so well.
Because they were doing well, and there's a kind of a line that when you're laughing at people in power, that's satire. When you're laughing at people who are suffering, that's bullying. So,
Okay. Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry, but at the moment there's not a lot of eel stuff in there because last year there was 3 songs. I think there was
Okay.
one of my favourites was the Mitchell Moses song last year about that game against the Bulldogs, where you lost against the Bulldogs. And he's scored a consolation try and he's walked through and he's just like stopped.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me, I'm Mitchell Moses. And bang, he gets knocked over by
Matty
Burton and
Burton.
didn't score it. Did I say Richard Burton?
No, I don't
Yeah,
think
Matty
so.
Burton.
Yeah, Matty Burton, yeah.
Yeah, so that, and also at the end I did the, to the tune of Feelings. I've forgotten who that's by, an old 70s tragic song. I did Eels fans because I was worried about all the Eels fans because they were all so hopeful and so happy. And it's like, dude, you're playing the Panthers. It's not going to go well. And in the preseason, I had that many Eels fans, and you were one of them last year. Coming off, you'd won a trial game. It's like, yeah, this is a year. So I was trying to temper them, trying to calm down a bit and say, just chill. This year, no.
Yeah,
no Eels songs at all.
No, don't blame you. I mean, we probably wouldn't want to hear them, to be honest, but not being in the 8, so yeah, no, very disappointing year for us, that's for sure. So when you were on the Matty Johns show, working with that show, did you help Eric Grove Jr. do his My Kevy and what else? Philly Style My Thongs songs?
That was all his own work. They
Oh,
were
was it? Okay, yeah,
fantastic.
because he's a musician
they
as
were-
well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
thought you
my
might have had a
Kevy.
bit of
That Kevy song, that killed me. That was so good. And the whole stalking and watching him in his sleep business. That was a cracker.
Yeah, nah, that's it. Well, you said that the Rugby League the musical is coming up soon. Where will people be able to find it and get tickets to and watch the show?
You can get tickets at rugbyleaguethemusical.com.au or rltm.com.au. It's on the Bridge Hotel Roselle, 5 big nights, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th of November. Jesus, that's 3 weeks away. I better get working.
November or September?
September. Yeah,
There we go.
20th.
September.
So it's the week before the grand final.
Okay.
Every weekday before the grand final. So yeah, and I like it kind of grows. It's still very much an underground thing, but each year there's more journalists turn up, more rugby league. I haven't had a lot of players. I know when I played in Newcastle, a few players turned up. In Canberra, a couple of players turned up. But in Sydney, the players don't turn up as much.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes people, and it's funny when you meet. I'll meet a journalist and go, "Oh, yeah, I went to your show." It's like, well, why didn't you tell me? Why aren't you promoting it then? But like I said previously, Peter Grant, Todd Greenberg, Peter Beattie came along, so a lot of NRL people turn up. So yeah, I'm trying to build it as a tradition, the annual review.
Yeah.
And get Abdo and Volandis to come along.
Well, I think you might quickly have a little bit of material after Andrew Abdo's minor premiership speech. That was a bit random. I don't know where.
193 assists.
Yeah, I had the same reaction as Dylan Edwards, I think. I was like, how did he get those figures? And was it 45,000 kilometres that they've ran during the season or something or more? I don't know where they got those figures.
193 assists. That was the big one, which is up there with. Again, that's up there with Ricky's 37 texters.
Yes. Well, we'll wrap things
The
up
numbers
with the set of 6, the sort of personality questions away from rugby league. But what's your favourite sport outside of rugby league?
Is there any? Look, like I said, I brought up in multicultural Canberra. I'd probably say cricket.
Okay, yeah.
But I played hockey when I was at school. I still follow the AFL. I kind of climbed on board the Giants when they came in.
Yep.
So nice to see them in the 8 as well. But yeah, so I'd say the number one would be cricket.
Yeah, nice. What's your favourite holiday destination?
Ooh, what? Probably just South Coast.
Yeah.
Little Canberra by the sea, around Bateman's Bay, Mossy Point, Browley. Because that was a holiday place when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just going down there. It just feels like, it's how it's supposed to be.
So I'm assuming you're probably like a little bit like the players. You got like March until October, and then you have an off season.
Yeah. So the off season for my ABC work is there's AFLW. There's a lot of cricket. The ABC does a lot of women's cricket. Does a lot of men's cricket, but it's much more sporadic. It's not the grind of
week in, week out.
4 days a week in, week out. So yeah, it's a bit of off season now.
What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
I've got a few. Probably the main specialty is I call it a spag bowl, but it's not really a spag bowl. It's like a bolognese sauce is from Bologna. It's a Tuscan sauce. I had a holiday in Italy, and we stayed in this little town. And there's one restaurant in town. Like the town was an old medieval town, about 10 people living there, and the restaurant people would come from miles around to go there. And they had these lamb shanks in this sauce. Everything they had was basically in this one sauce. And we got invited in to see Nonna, who every morning Nonna would get up and just get this massive vat and just chop up tons of carrot, onion, and celery, chuck it in with olive oil, and just sit and stir and stir and stir this huge vat. And the timing had to be impeccable, because the difference between caramelized carrot, onion, celery, raw, so you got raw, you got caramelized, you got burnt. Yeah. And it's like seconds for that. And she'd do that every day, and then she taught us ratios, showed me how to do it. So I love just doing that. So it's rather than a bolognese sauce, it's a Tuscan sauce. Bit of a wank, but it's tasty as hell.
Oh, well, that's it. Is there a famous person out there that you would love to meet one day and have a chat, or a famous musician, perhaps?
Ooh. I don't know.
That you haven't met before.
That I haven't met. I don't know, because I had an incident a few weeks ago where I used to go, because I worked for the ABC as a sound guy, and I used to go into the dressing rooms for Raiders games. Even before I was working there, I knew a couple of players, I knew a couple of staff, knew the media guy, because I'd done a lot of pre-match entertainment stuff and on-field entertainment stuff with them, and songs with them. And so I went down the dressing rooms a couple of 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's the first time I've been in the Raiders dressing room since 2019 because of COVID.
Yep.
And I was in there chatting, and the players, most of the players I knew aren't there anymore, but I still know, the CEO and the media guys. I'm chatting with them, and then Corey Horsburgh walks up and goes, "Oh man, I've got to get to the name of the street, but the Marjorie whatever Avenue," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going there. I'm parked up there. I'll show you where it is." I go, "Oh, that'd be great." And then media guy goes, "I'll come with, because I've got to go as well. Just hang on, I've got to get my bag." So I walk outside with Corey, and I'm looking at this one. He's 23, this kid, and he's like, "G'day, mate, Corey." And he puts his hand out, and I went to shake his hand, and my head just went, and all I could think was, "I love you, Corey. I love what you bring. I love your passion. I love the fact that what you bring to the band and what you bring to the team. And I love, and when the para fans were yelling at you, I was there and I was screaming. I was going to fight them all because they were yelling at you, and you'd had a Linz Frank injury and they didn't know." This was all going through my head at the same time as a little narrative going, "You're 56 years old. This is a kid. He's younger than your son. You need to have some respect." And all that came out was, I couldn't speak. And thankfully, the media guy came out as I was, just and said, "Oh, Corey, this is Dennis. He did that song that's in Queensland. It's like, oh, I was singing that the other day. Oh, it was great. So I don't know if I want to meet famous people because they just turn into a blubbering, gibbering fool.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. When I had Vince Sorrenti on the podcast for a chat,
He was the one that was yelling.
Yeah, he was the one that was yelling at Corey Horsburgh. So.
I was ready to go him. I was ready.
Maybe we could have a comedian off between Dennis and Vince. Canberra versus
He was at that the para thing where I played the Luke Burt song, the Hindmarsh song. He was at that.
He would have loved that. He would have loved that. Great bloke. Is there second last one? Is there three players? I usually ask this about players, but is there three players or rugby league people that you haven't written a song about that you really want to write a song about?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm in the process of a Jarrod Croker song. And the problem with the Jarrod Croker song is there's going to be no piss take. It's just going to be an absolute heartfelt love song to this guy. The Luke Burt song, when I did that, I went and I spoke to Nathan Hindmarsh, spoke to who else was there? Nathan Kalis. I spoke to some of the coaching staff just to get stories about him, and there were none.
Yeah. There
was nothing. All there was he was a kid, he was hardworking, he was loyal, he was dedicated. Wendell Saylor, I spoke to Wendell about him. Wendell declared him that he used the word unsledgeable. And he said he's tried to sledge him, tried to put him off his game and said, you're tiny, look at you, you're a piece, you're nothing. You know what? I'm going to throw you over the grandstand. If I don't throw you over the grandstand, I'm going to find you in the car park afterwards and beat you up. I'm just going to beat the shit out of you. And was trying to intimidate him. So Luke Bird looked at him, stepped him, ran around him, scored a try, just ran back, didn't say a word, just looked at him, gave him a smile and a nod. And so Wendell's like, I've got nothing.
Yeah.
So I did the comedy term is a mock epic. Like I made him out to be this grand hero, whereas there's going to be nothing in that. Josh, the Croker song, the Jarrod Croker song, is going to be a love song. Sam Williams is another one. And I love Sam Williams, absolutely love him. And again, it's because he's such a good clubman, such a good guy. I met Sam, it would have been 2010, I reckon. I was doing pre-match entertainment for the Raiders. Had a couple of singers with me, and my niece went to uni with him.
Okay.
And he just started playing with the Raiders. So it was... I can't remember the exact year, but I know it was the year that Matt Orford signed for the Raiders and knocked on at the scrum base against the Titans, and the Titans won in Golden Point because of that knock on. And Sam Williams was in the reserve grade. He was walking around the tradie club afterwards going, I'm playing first grade next week. How good. And we ended up going to Mooseheads with him, my niece's mate, who ended up becoming Sam Williams's wife, who, funnily enough, is Ashley Gilbert's daughter. Sam Williams married Ashley Gilbert's daughter. But Sam, we're chatting Mooseheads, and Sam's telling me I was having problems. I was coaching my son's rugby league team. There was one particular dickhead parent who was a real nightmare, and he there was a couple who really wanted to coach, but the club didn't want him to because they wanted the kids fighting, they wanted the kids punching, they wanted the kids, and so I got thrown in. I got, did the training course and stuff, but I had nowhere near the experience of these guys. And I told Sam this, what do I do? And then, again, I'm talking to someone who's 20 years younger than me, and he's like, mate, that's what the club's for. You got to understand what a club is. The footy club, if they've said they don't want these guys coaching, this isn't your problem. Put it to them. Go and say to the club, go to the board, say, I need help here because I've got these parents who are being dickheads, and get them to step in. This isn't your job. You want to coach the kids. You're not there for the parents. You're there for the kids.
Yeah.
So do this. And he gave me this lecture about how to game a footy club to get what you wanted. So I did it, went and spoke to some people on the board, and they're like, no, you shouldn't have put up with that. And they went and managed it. And it's like, wow, getting that advice from a kid who would have been 21, 22.
Okay. Yeah, wow.
So yeah, there's Jarrod, the Sam. Who's the third one I'd want to write about? I actually always wanted to write something for Styx Proven.
Okay.
And it's got out of the blue there, but I met the guy at a couple of functions, and I have never met someone who he just shook my hand, C.S. Oliola was probably a bit the same. He seemed like royalty. There's something about him that felt really regal when he shook your hand and looked in your eyes. But Sticks, he shook my hand and I was like, oh, how far do you want me to run? I'm running. What wall do you want me to run through? You just felt this, okay, that's why the Dragons kept winning. That's like, he was such a strong, moving leader. So I've got, that's one I'd love to write a song about. There you go. There's 3.
Can't wait for those ones to come out. And look, last one will be a probably a hard one for yourself because you're so involved with music. But who's your favourite musician, either band or solo artist?
Oh boy, I'd probably have to say Ray Davies is the singer from the Kinks.
Okay.
Because that was, and I don't know if it's because of quality or because of that was kind of what first got me into music, was a couple of the songs they'd written. As a nerdy little weird guy, they really touched me. They really, I felt an empathy with them, and I felt like they were, I don't know, I kind of adopted some of the philosophy of them, I guess. And I got, as I listened to more and more, there was some weird stuff they did, and there was, but yeah, there's a couple of albums they've got, which, there's one particular one, which will be my Desert Island album, unless I chose Night at the Opera by Queen, because they're a very close second, and not so much Freddie himself as the whole unit and what they produced. So yeah, Kinks and Queen, that'll be it.
What's your favourite Queen song?
Favourite album is definitely Night at the Opera, and the favourite is probably the Prophet song.
Okay.
Not because of it's just so, Bohemian Rhapsody's on the same album. This is just as long as Bohemian Rhapsody, and it doesn't have an operatic part in the middle. It has this part in the middle where he sings with himself. So, do you know the song?
No, I don't. I'm going to check it out.
So it's a much more hard rocking song than Bohemian Rhapsody, but in the middle it stops, and Freddie sings a line, and then there's a 500 millisecond delay and another 500 millisecond delay. So he sings, and now I know, and now I know, and now I know that you can hear me. And as he sings that, each now I know goes to the other channel.
Okay, yeah.
And then the other one. So he's singing 3-part harmony with himself on delay, and it is just mesmerizing. So A, to think of doing that, I've never heard anything like it before or since. And B, to be able to do it. So yeah, that very unusual and talented man.
Yeah.
Freddie?
Definitely a legend for sure, and love Queen. They're great. Saw them last time they came out to Sydney with Adam Lambert. Just as good. I couldn't imagine what it would have been with Freddie as lead singer there in front of a massive crowd in a stadium. It would have been awesome, but great band. Well, Denis Carnahan, thank you very much for joining me today on the Para Cave podcast. We probably could have chatted for longer. It was very enjoyable, that's for sure. And thank you for contributing to the Para Cave with the poster. Much appreciated. And we'll play the YouTube videos of that season Queensland and the Eels songs and that, and we'll also support your Rugby League the musical as well. We'll post that up as well and get some fans there. I might even have to come and check it out myself.
Oh, you've got to come and have a look, particularly knowing that there's no Eels slapping.
And being a Rugby League lover as well. So so thank you very much for joining me today on the Para Cave podcast.
No, thanks for having me.
How you going, mate? Are you a Para Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Para. Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to Denis Carnahan and his Rugby League story. I guess his Rugby League supporting story. As I said, being a fan of the Canberra Raiders, but also his involvement in the game as well. And you will find as in the chat with Denis on how to get tickets to his Rugby League the musical show as well, which will come out very, very shortly. So I'll post those details up on the social media channels, so stay tuned for that one, but the details are in the chat as well. So if you'd like to have a laugh and get along to a musical, probably not many rugby league people get to musicals. I know it's probably not one of my most enjoyable things. I don't get to many musicals at all, but I would definitely go and check out Rugby League the musical, because it is about the greatest game of all. So thank you very much, Dennis. I really appreciate your time and your chat and for coming on the show. I'm sure the fans will enjoy it, that's for sure. Now, just a quick word about our sponsors of the show. Jack's Pale Ale, it's available to purchase in the club shop at Parramatta Leagues Club. Perfect for that Eels fan or beer lover, and what better time to get a case of Jack's Pale Ale now that it is the finals in the NRL. Also, keep an eye open on the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, about what's happening each week at Parramatta Leagues Club. Beau Cook from Loan Market. He is the best in the business when it comes to home loans and finances. So his contact details are 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan and find you that best deal. BTZD Teamwear. Head to www.btzd.com.au. Check out their range of team sportswear. See what they can do for you. They are the designers of the Paracave Podcast polo shirts, which I'll talk about very shortly. So check out those ones and see what they might be able to do for you. The Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast. For all your Parramatta local news, simply head to www.parramattatimes.com.au. And last but not least, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty. If you want that 5-star service, then get in contact with a 5-star real estate agent, and that is Shannon from Glenmore Park Realty. His contact details are 0421 588 445, and that he is the 5-star real estate agent in the Glenmore Park and the Penrith LGA areas. Thank you once again for those businesses for supporting the podcast. I really appreciate it. Help bring you quality entertainment each week. And if you use any of those businesses or purchase any of those products, please share them on social media as well. I'd love to see some pictures as well, as would they as well. Thank you once again to you, the listeners, for listening each week to the podcast. I really appreciate it. I hope you really enjoy the different ranges of podcasts that come out. The review and preview chats with the Duckman on Pulse FM, the tipping podcast as well, and the interview-based podcast. If you do, please leave a review on the podcast platform that you listen to, be it Apple, Spotify, whichever. That would be really, really appreciated as well. Don't forget to follow the podcast on the social media channels as well, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Now, the Paracave Podcast merchandise, which is available at the moment, I have Paracave Podcast hats as well. Finals price, $10. So, for a Paracave Podcast hat with the exciting new logo. So, all you need to do is just email the podcast at www.theparacavepodcast@yahoo.com, or just send me a message on one of the social media channels and we'll organise that one for you and get that one out for you as well. Also, the Paracave Podcast polo shirts from BTZD Clothing. I think I have 3 left. I think I have one XL and 2 larges. I think I'll have to double check that one, but $25 each. and you'll see me wearing them in my videos that are on YouTube, so please subscribe to that one as well, the Para Cave Podcast on YouTube. Please subscribe. You'll see me wearing those polo shirts in there. They look great. They're really comfortable. So same deal, just email the podcast or send me a message on one of the social media channels. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'll be on Pulse FM on Friday night, about 20 past 6 I think it is. Could be a little bit later, but stay tuned. I will let you know for a preview of the finals in the NRL with the Duckman on Pulse FM. That one's coming up, and enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your footy. Enjoy your finals footy. And if your team's playing, best of luck. I know how it feels being in the finals. It can be very nerve-wracking, especially if it's an elimination final as well. But best of luck if your team's in there. May the best team win. Have a great week as best you can. Don't forget, follow the podcast on the social media channels for some interesting content each day and to see who's coming up on the podcast, both on Instagram and Facebook. It's also on Twitter as well. Just search the Para Cave Podcast. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave Podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!